billboard for why these individuals must be brought into our country. Why are they brought into our country? With every immigration decision, the question needs to be asked, why are you coming to America? How will you integrate into Western civilization?
How's it going, guys? It's another episode of Unreasonable Clout Podcast. We got a little mic going on, if you guys can't see, bumping up the audio for you guys, just taking some suggestions from you guys. And I appreciate all the supporters across Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, as well as a little bit on YouTube. Trying to get our YouTube views up, but get enough views off the other platforms as well. So we're going to go ahead and follow up with a story about, as you can see, Tim Walz and this Minnesota fraud that's going on with the Somalis, this immigration. It's crazy, man. So you know that Trump already is halting the TPS, the temporary protective status, when it comes to these Somalis, because let's rewind it. Let me fill you guys in real fast. So you guys remember there's over $1 billion found in fraud when it comes to these Somali community in Minnesota. They were doing fraud when it came to SNAP benefits, welfare, low-income housing, affordable housing, and also Medicaid. On this last video, we touched upon them misdiagnosing kids with autism to funnel this money to terrorist groups, Al-Shabaab, which are close allies to Al-Qaeda in Somalia. So whether they knew it or not, this money was getting intercepted, and it's taxpayer funds. So we're actually funding as taxpayers, whether we knew it or not. Somalis knew it for sure. And I know after this investigation, Tim Walz knew it for sure. As you can see the headlines behind me. So that's just to fill you guys in. Now, there is an ex-post from Minnesota Department of Human Services. We're going to go ahead and check it out right now and see what they had to say. So we can see here on X, says Tim Walz is 100% responsible for massive fraud in Minnesota. We let Tim Walz know of fraud early on, hoping for a partnership in stopping fraud, but no, we got the opposite response. Tim Walz systematically retaliated against whistleblowers using monitoring, threats, repression, and he did his best, he did his best to discredit fraud reports. Instead of partnership, we got full weight of retaliation by Tim Walz. Certain DFL members and in different, and in different mainstream media, it's scary, isolating and left us wondering who we can turn to. In addition to retaliating against whistleblower, Tim Walz disempowered the Office of the Legislative Auditor, which is the people obviously who checking out the money and were discovering this fraud, allowing agencies to disregard their audit findings and guidance. Media and politicians supporting Tim Walz or the DFL agenda attacked whistleblowers who were trying to raise red flags on fraudulent activities. Now you see this is really crazy when it comes to stuff like this. Tim Walz was actually, I'm pretty sure after this investigation is going to be done, he's probably going to be indicted, which I hope. You know, you guys don't really know my opinion on Pam Bondi, but like I said in a previous video, we might have to make a video upon her or about her doings and her findings and stuff and what she did and what she hasn't done so far. Well, we'll go into another article actually by the New York Times. Let's check it out, which it says, the fraud scandal that rattled Minnesota was staggering in its scale and brazenness. Federal prosecutors charged dozens of people with felonies, accused them of stealing hundreds of millions of dollars from a government program meant to keep children fed during the COVID-19 pandemic. At first, many of the states saw the case as a one-off abuse during health emergency, but as new schemes targeting the state's generous safety net programs came to light, state and federal officials began to grapple with a jarring reality. And we're going to go through a lot of these details in a minute. I just wanted to show you guys these articles that it's becoming mainstream now. It's 6 months too late, 6 to 8 months too late, but nonetheless, it's coming to light now. So we're able to do something about it right now. It's better late than never, you know. And with all this fraud and stuff like that, I know seems like I'm going pretty hard on the Somalis, but I'm going to keep being at these Somalis' heads so bad that you guys are going to think that I'm Elon Omar's head wrap. Plain and simple. Now, I'm not going to stop until justice, I'm not going to stop reporting it until justice has been served, or at least all of this is being brought to the light. Now, the group that posted this on X is actually the Minnesota Staff Fraud Reporting. You know, it's part of DHS, Department of Human Services. And these are people who are really critical of Tim Walz. And you guys can see from the data and from the accusations, not even accusations at this point, the facts of this type of criminal activity and this fraudulent abuse of taxpayers' funds, that you can see why they're very critical of Tim Walz. We call him Tampon Tim on this side. So, you know what? The account was actually suspended. You know, there's still some bad apples over there at X that need to get filtered out, but their account was back up shortly after the supporters got riled up and they asked questions about the fraud. You know what? We're going to go ahead and go into, you know what? Hold on. We'll hold off on that clip. So, you know what? Forget it, man. We're just going to play a clip from Caroline Levitt's that she had to say earlier about this whole freaking situation, man. And it's crazy. So let's go ahead and go straight into that clip.
According to a new bombshell report from the New York Times, Somalian migrants in Minnesota have defrauded nearly $1 billion in taxpayer-funded benefits under Democrat Governor Walz's leadership. President Trump is putting an end to this dangerous America Last approach. His position is rooted in common sense. In the wake of last week's atrocity, it is more important than ever to finish carrying out the president's mass deportation operation. America cannot allow millions upon millions of unvetted illegal aliens to be rewarded with amnesty after they broke our nation's laws to come here.
Okay, so you've seen the statement that Caroline Levitt had put out. Let's get into some of the details now that I didn't play on the clip, which she definitely mentioned. So the facts on the fraud: 86 people charged with the fraud, spanning multiple programs in Minnesota. Of the 86 people, 78 people were Somali. That's 91% of the people who are getting charged. Now, only 59 people were convicted so far on multiple fraud charges, stolen about $1 billion and probably a little bit more at this point, $1 billion from taxpayers. Now, something like this is crazy. I'm glad they're charging a lot of people. There's going to be over 100 people implicated in these charges soon to come. That's my prediction for sure. And I hope Tim Walz is part of them too as well. Now, there's different schemes. Like I said, there was the welfare fraud and the affordable housing and stuff like that, and the autism fraud. We're going to get into some specifics of the schemes. So one scheme claimed to have fed over tens of thousands of kids during the jab pandemic, if you know what I mean. And instead, those program leaders, instead of none of these kids, tens of thousands, were even fed. Instead, these leaders bought things like cars, houses, and also they bought real estate in Turkey and Kenya. Now, I know they seen all this fraud and stuff, especially during the jab pandemic. They seen a lot of dollar signs. Seen a lot of dollar signs when it came to it. So, of course, Somalis, they want to take advantage of these handouts. You know, upon the houses and the cars and the real estate bought, another scheme was also involved hundreds of organizations who supposed to provide many services to people in need, such as homeless, and I believe like some veteran or not veterans, like some homeless stuff and some low income housing stuff like we mentioned before. But none of these services were actually provided, which is crazy. So it's going to be well over $1 billion by the time this investigation gets closer towards the end, when these charges are being brought up. Like I said, I predict personally over 100 people are going to be indicted and implicated in these charges. Like I said before, the facts say only 59 people were convicted on these multiple fraud charges, and there's a lot of allegations out there starting to become facts. Now, I just want to remind you guys, all of this happened under the Democratic rule in Minnesota, which is Tampon Tim. And we all know what I think about him, but I want to hear what you guys think about him in the comments. I also want to go to this, let's see, I want to go to this another, it's some stats right here in Minnesota. So let's talk about these stats. So this Somali population in Minnesota, it's a total of about 80,000 Somalis, mostly in the Twin Cities. You know, there's the male, let's go down, firstborn, language, disability. There's the population with disability, about 7% of them with disability. Disability under 65 is 4.7%. Let's go to the household income. So 40% of them make less than 35,000 a year. So let's go to the poverty. With income below poverty is 36.4%. All people from whom poverty status is determined is 78,000. That's pretty much where they're grabbing the stats from. Let's go healthcare coverage. Total population for whom health insurance coverage status is determined, almost closer to 80,000. And then the population without health insurance coverage of the Somalis is only 4.6. So let's go to household average sizes, of course. We want to go to, let's see, married couples with children under 18, that's 35.9%. Let's go to some cost burden households. Rent paid. So we could go rent paid. They're paying rent. Only 18,000 of them households are actually paying rent. Medium gross rent. Some got vehicles, some don't. Transportation, education, and working adults. So you guys could slow it up and you guys could go ahead and check out the stats yourself. But these people are costing the state. I don't care about the state. Well, I do. But as far as the whole nation, we're all paying this. Not just that state is paying into it. We're all, as a nation, U.S. citizens, are paying into them doing this fraudulent stuff, and they're funneling this money out. So you guys seen the stats. Let me know what you guys think about this, what's being uncovered. And of course, like I said, I'm going to be on these Somalis' heads. You're going to think I'm their head wrap, like I said before. But we're not going to stop until all this info gets out, because I don't think enough people know how bad the Somali community is a detriment to this nation. And I don't like it. You shouldn't like it as American taxpayer as well, even just an American citizen in general. You shouldn't like these people infiltrating when it comes to all this stuff, especially if they're doing fraud. They're not assimilating. They're not even incorporating any type of sensibility into assimilating here, so to speak. They're not making any type of effort. They're not. And I think I seen an interview of Ilhan Omar saying that Somalis are part of the fabric of the United States, which I believe they only started flooding here. Not flooding. We started seeing them coming in here more and more around the 90s. But we know that during Biden's administration, a whole bunch of Somalis came in. Now they're flooding Minnesota. I want to hear what you guys think about Tampon Tim, him being a part of this fraud. We've seen the reports, New York Times, and we've seen the reports from the Minnesota Department of Human Services. I want to know what you guys think about this fraudulent guy who's participating in the fraud and allowing it. I want to hear what you guys want to say about him in the comments below. Now we're going to get on to another story right now. So we'll be back right now.